I'm going to broadcast this on the webinar now. We're live.
Hi, Peter.
I'm being told it has not started on HHTV yet.
Okay, we'll wait.
We are live on HHTV.
Welcome. Welcome to the October monthly meeting of the Residents Council of Horizon House. I'm Peter Shapiro, President. This is actually, I noticed, not only the monthly meeting, but it's the October 2020 meeting. So a rarity, I guess, one of a century or more. Anyway, welcome, and let's get started. We have a big agenda today. Get you to take a look at that. We start in the usual manner with the four essential elements of corporate business. The September minutes will be put up for approval, or will be moved for approval. A financial report from Diane Tinker. Monday market report. Susan Barish is on leave today. Cami Elbow will be presenting that. And then the management report from Mike Ostrom. So, Alice, call upon you to bring us through the minutes, please.
I have sent around the corrected minutes for the September 15th Residents Council. And may I have a motion for approval?
I move that we approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, Peter, the minutes have been approved.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Very well done. Diane Tinker, I'll get you up there in just a second.
All right.
Share screen. Fingers are a little slow today for some reason. There you are. So Diane, would you please give us the September financial report?
Yes, as you can see, our income for the month was $5,609. Expenses were $2,340. So we had a net income of $3,269. Our year-to-date deficit is $6,840. Our expenses were low because many committees are inactive. If you're interested, our monthly financial statements are now posted on HH Connect every month. They're updated. They're in the Residence Council section of the homepage of HH Connect.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Diane. Okay, let's have the Monday market report from Cami Obo. How did we do last month?
Well, as Diane said, we did fine. Finding the new normal. Actually, in September, from our point of view, we made $4,377, which is less than Diane chose, because what we made on August 31st, we counted in August, but she counted it on September 1st when it went into the bank. But it's the same. The more important figure is, I would say, we are averaging just over $1,100 a week. That seems to be holding relatively steady month to month. We appreciate our shoppers wearing their masks. We appreciate residents coming in the morning and staff coming in the afternoon. Everybody's sticking to their correct times. This coming Monday, October 26th, we're going to have our usual end of the month clearance, and we especially need that because we have received a bunch of new donations, so we need to make room for them. In the past, we have had a fashion show in October with a boutique sale along with it. We're not going to have the fashion show this year for obvious reasons, but we will have a boutique sale, a special sale of in the market on Monday the 16th of special jewelry that's come in, special handbags, maybe some special clothes, maybe some gifts, things that are a little above and beyond our normal selection for your holiday shopping. So we just want you to alert you for that on the 16th. And that's it for the Monday market.
Excellent, excellent news, Cami. I'm sure everybody's looking forward to that. Thank you, thank you. Okay. And next up, our leader. Hey, Mike. There you are. It's your floor. Go ahead.
Thanks, Peter. So a couple of things, or quite a few things actually. Retirement Community Week was last week, and hopefully people kind of enjoyed a little bit of the staff having some fun with that. There was a cultural display down on B1 between the hallway and down towards the clinic. If you haven't had a chance to take a peek at that, that was done by staff who kind of found different ways to represent the many different cultures that we have at Horizon House. Thought that was nicely done. There's a talent show that the link is on, it's a YouTube link posted on HH Connect. You can see some of the great talent and maybe the not so great talent of some of the events that we had filmed by various departments. I thought it was pretty creative. And then Dining Services was a bright spot in October. They did a great display and outdoor barbecue. I think that was enjoyed by many. The pumpkin contest is underway now. I must say that the food service gang, led by Oliver, have just been incredibly creative with their displays. I mean, my gosh, this looks like better than anything you'd see in a Nordstrom window, which of course now is boarded up. But in the good old days when they actually had something going on, I still think they're doing a really great job. And it's a lot of fun to see the creativity by so many members of the food service team. So swing by there and pick up a form to fill in the weight of the pumpkin, and we'll see who wins that. The salon and fireside lounge are underway, although maybe there are times when it's really quiet and people think that there's nothing being done. I am assured that from Eli, and he'll talk more about this at the at the Fireside Chat that the Anderson Hall or the Fireside Lounge should be done by late November. That's still the plan. The salon is likely to be, I think that is going to be towards the early part of December. I don't know that exact date. But those are underway, as is Anderson Hall, which is in the planning mode. And hopefully we'll have more to talk about on that shortly. I want to mention just elevator capacity. There seems to be some confusion and maybe we've caused some of it, or maybe people have just had liberal interpretations, but the signage is posted outside. There are footprints inside the elevator to give everyone a clue as to how many people can be in there. And the maximum elevator capacity is 3 people, not 3 couples, not 1 couple and 2 people, but 3 individuals, except for the small elevator, which is 1 person or a couple. I'm not quite sure why that one qualifies as a couple, but that was what was decided. So I think hopefully the messaging is clear. Try to honor it. We just want to kind of keep the crowds down. If you have any questions, you can look at the number of feet on the floor, and if nobody's standing on those feet on the elevator floor, then you can stand on them. There's one more opportunity for flu shots. I want to encourage everybody to get their flu shot. It will be Wednesday, the 28th from 9 to noon. Call the clinic, make your appointment, get your flu shot, stay healthy. We will be having small group sessions coming up the first week of November. We're putting together that agenda on the topics that we want to cover. And I'd say if there are some things that are pressing, because sometimes I will be thinking of things that I think might be of critical importance. But if there are things and issues that you have that you would like to see discussed in greater detail, then chime in. There's still time to alter that agenda. And that way we'll respond to the things that you would like to hear more about and in more depth. So that will be happening the first week of November. The resident satisfaction surveys will be coming to you via the Postal Service. So they'll be coming to you in the mail the last week of October. This is run by a third party called NRC Health. So we don't see these results. We don't know who the individuals are that are submitting their surveys. But it's important that you fill it out and you're honest and, be critical where it's appropriate, be approving where it is appropriate. And we take that seriously. We respond to it, and hopefully you experience us responding to it. So you should expect those the last week of October and to be completed if possible the first week of November. Typically every year around this time, we have the past presidents event, which includes board presidents from the past going back as many as 30 years. And also then the past presidents of the Residence Council. And normally it's a lunch that includes a little bit of a program. And of course, we didn't have the luxury of doing a program this year in the same way, or a lunch, I should say. So this morning we had a Zoom presentation and we had great participation. And it was our way, this is our way of trying to have some normalcy in a crazy time. So I think that this is something that the past presidents feel really good about getting together. They have all participated during challenging times of Horizon House. One person was referencing that they were president at the time when the big issue of the time was the pet policy, and I chimed in and said how I longed for that to be the big issue. But maybe that one wasn't as critical as some of the other ones. But each of the presidents did have a tenure as the leader at times when Horizon House was making critical decisions. We do have a new board member prospect. Some of you may know that as the board rotates, as people's terms end, we look for internal candidates of residents, and I know that Ann Brand is working on that part. We also have outside candidates who come onto the board from time to time, and we have a really sharp young woman named Alex Tibbetts, who is accepted and is agreed to be a part of our board, and she will be voted in upon meeting other members of the board. and that would happen in January if all goes as planned. I think it's been terrific that we've been able to broaden our board to include different age groups and different backgrounds, so that we're having a chance to have people who participate on the board from a broad range of backgrounds that can really add value to the decision making that we have to do throughout the years. The CEO monthly report, it comes out at the end of each month. It's posted on HH Connect. If you want a hard copy, Beth can have that put into your box. Maybe it's not always like a profound thing, and I don't want to imply that it's more important than it is. I try to offer a little perspective section at the beginning that is, I think, accessible to everyone. The financial part might be a little bit more detailed that interests some and not others. But, it is one of our ways in which we communicate. And we have many, many vehicles of communication to residents, and we feel that that's a great approach so that we can reach the broadest number of people and be as clear and transparent as possible. And we get feedback from the various things that we communicate on, and that gives us information to allow us to do things better. So we like it when you read things, and we like it when you let us know what's helpful and what's not helpful. And let's see, the next fireside chat is going to be on the 30th of October, which is a week from this Friday. And we look forward to bringing you a pretty comprehensive program as we do each time. And that's all I have, Peter.
Great report. Well, it's good to hear all that news, Mike, especially that pumpkin display. That is phenomenal.
Isn't it?
Why did I make mention of that again? Oh, yes, employees did that.
That's right.
An example of what employees do for us. And we're in our last month of the Employee Recognition Fund Drive. Oh, yeah, that's why I mentioned that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we have our agenda coming up for the rest of the meeting, and thanks, Mike, and have a good rest of the day. I know you've been busy.
Thank you all. Take care.
Bye. Council business. We do have a pretty big agenda. The top of the agenda will be presentation of the council candidates. Laura Weiss, the chair of the nominating committee, will explain the process. And then we'll be hearing from each of the 5 candidates, assuming technology bugs don't all of a sudden raise their ugly heads. And you'll get to know them a little bit. You may already know them pretty well. Audrey Whitecamp will explain what our election procedures are for accepting or rejecting that slate. I have appointed a special nominating committee. I'll explain what that is. It's entirely different from the nominating committee, which looks for new council members. The special nominating committee makes recommendations as to the new slate of officers of the council that would take office in January. Audrey Whitecamp will be back with a description of the bylaw amendments that have been passed at the last council planning meeting. And we'll have a report from the brand new technology support committee about what they've been up to. George Counts will talk about the process he's asking committee chairs to follow in submitting annual reports. And Janet Daggett will be talking about some social events. I can't wait to hear. I don't know exactly what it will be, but I'm excited. The Employee Recognition Fund is, of course, led by Mary Ann Anderson, and she'll be giving a report. We'll make sure we get that in. I might have to move it up a little earlier in the agenda if necessary. And then as a trifecta, Audrey will be back with questions and answers, assuming we have time. I think we'll be able to cover all this, but we'll just see what's happening as we go along. So I call on Laura Weiss now. Laura, can you tell us what was happening and how it happened in the nominating committee? And then we'll go on to an opportunity for the candidates to say a few words. I'm not sure if you're unmuted, Laura. I'm wondering if we lost.
No, Laura, you need to unmute yourself.
I don't see her in the meeting. I'm looking through the There you are. Okay,
My
there you
picture
are.
is here. Okay, well, I struck it, well, struck once. We'll see if I do better. Okay, you can hear me now.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
thank you.
The Horizon House Residence Council is made up of 15 elected members who are elected for a 3-year non-renewable term. Each year, 5 members of the council have their terms expire, and a nominating committee is chosen by the council president to select 5 nominees as the candidates for the next term. And this year, Peter selected the nominating committee in May. It consisted of Danny Carr, Nancy Cope, Dan Bayer, Herb Reinald, and myself as chair. We first asked for nominations from Horizon House residents, and you may remember you had something in your box. It was nice yellow color, and asked for your suggestions for people you would like to nominate for the council. We did receive 32 names and checked with each of them. Not all of them were willing to serve a 3-year term on the Residence Council, so we were down to 14, still a sizable number of people. Each of those people were interviewed by the nominating committee. We had some really good candidates, but we needed to select 5. And the 5 candidates that the nominating committee selected are the people that you are about to meet right now. And I think Peter will introduce them.
Great, thank you, Laura. That's good work. I want people to pay attention to the fact and note that the nominating committee was entirely people who were not on the Residence Council. And I think that's an important part of our function, is to keep the community involved, not just keep it a closed matter for a continual cloning, let's say, of the Residence Council by members of the Residence Council. And I think they did a wonderful job this year. Here are the names of the candidates. If I share the screen, there it is. This is the slate presented by the nominating committee. We'll hear from each of these 5 wonderful individuals for a minute or 2. They'll be going in this order. I'll be keeping an eye on the clock, but don't worry about it. I'm sure you'll be presenting perfectly. So we'll start with May Gerstle, and then the next up will be Connie Hellier. Be prepared as your name is getting closer to the appearance part of the meeting. Be ready to unmute yourself so that there's a little difficulty as possible. So May, it's your turn, and followed by Connie Hellier.
My husband and John and I have lived here since early 2019. You might characterize me as outgoing and outdoorsy. On the other hand, I'm a problem solver and I understand the importance of resident involvement. Having been born and raised in Berkeley, California, I learned the importance of both compassion and activism at a very early age. We have lived in and around Seattle for the past 60 years. Since our 3 children went to school, I went to work for pay. I'm sorry, once our 3 children went to school, I went to work for pay. So first I was the campaign manager for 3 successful women candidates in the early years, followed by a stint in the King TV newsroom as an assignment editor. From there, I became the director of community relations for Seattle City Light, where I remained for many years. Near the end of my career, I was awarded the Manager of the Year award by the city of Seattle. Then I retired relatively young, and I went back to work as a volunteer. I was a member of the League of Women Voters and the Vashon Drama Doc, and served for 11 years on the State Board for Community and Technical Colleges. Looking forward, I want to continue using my skills to help others and to remain active as the co-chair of the Horizon House Communications Committee and as a member of the Election Forum Committee. My hope for the future is for a peaceful transition of power in many arenas. Our 7 grandchildren are my beacons of light, and I look forward to the day when I can safely hug them again. And my hope for you is that we can get to know, respect, collaborate, trust, and learn from one another. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, May. Thank you very much. Connie Hillier, you're next, and then Nancy McReynolds.
Hi all. I moved here a long time ago in 2008 with Frank Little, who many of you will remember. He served on the council 2014 to 2016. My skill set is mainly as a wordsmith. I began my career in New York City as a Newsweek researcher and retired umpteen years later as editor of Stanford Law School's alumni magazine. Shortly after my arrival here, Molly Cohn recruited me to help write the Horizon House Bicentennial book. That's the little one that you probably got handed when you moved in. This project was a wonderful introduction to what I learned was a very special community. I've loved the opportunity here to start a Scrabble group, register voters with the League of Women Voters, participate in secular humanist programming, and play percussion with the ukulele group. Also, with Frank and others here, I was involved in building the statewide advocacy group for CCRC residents, which you may have heard of as WACRA, the Washington Continuing Care Residents Association. Learning about other CCRCs has shown me just how fortunate we are at Horizon House with our resident-driven culture and strong representation on the Board of Trustees. We really are unique. It will be an honor and a pleasure to support this culture as a member of the Residents' Council, assuming there's no nomination from the floor. So thank you for the privilege.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you very, very much. Okay, Nancy McReynolds, your name is familiar. And good to see you again, to be followed by Judy Ostro. Nancy?
My husband, Neil, and I have been residents of Horizon House since April of 2016, just about 5.5 years. Horizon House was our only choice. We never looked at any other options. Neil was on the board of Horizon House for 9 years and president of the board for 2. We got to know the place pretty well during that period of time. The things that attracted us were the location, the variety and meaningful activities that were offered, the resident involvement, and finally, we already had lots of friends here. However, most importantly was the feeling of community. We continue to feel we made the right choice. Our family feels we gave them a gift. I'm a native of Seattle. I was born and raised on Queen Anne Hill. I attended Coe Elementary School, Queen Anne High School, and I'm a graduate of the University of Washington with a major in accounting. I also have an associate degree from Bellevue Community College in early childhood education. In regards to my professional experience right out of college, I worked as an accountant for Puget Sound Power and Light Company, currently Puget Sound Energy. I was also the executive director for 12 years of the Emmanuel Day School, a private church-affiliated school on Mercer Island. I have always felt the importance of giving back to my community and have served on a number of boards, including United Way of King County, Vision Services, Friends of Youth, Museum of History and Industry, Seattle King County Campfire, and the Cascade Medical Foundation, which is located in Leavenworth, where we have a vacation home. My current involvement at Horizon House is serving on the Philanthropy Committee and chairing the committee that provides new resident notebooks. I'd very much like to serve on the resident council and think I bring some skills and experience that would be valuable.
Thank you, Nancy. Thanks very, very much for that. Next up is Judy Ostro, followed by Jennifer Stucker.
Hi, everyone. When I moved into Horizon House 2 years ago, I was impressed and delighted with the many opportunities available for the residents to pursue their interests and to share them with their fellow residents, which is an integral part of community building. I was further impressed when I learned that all of this activity was resident organized and run. In my case, I can continue to garden and work with flowers, help in our fine library, because I was a public librarian for 20 years in Evanston, Illinois, enjoy a variety of musical performances, learn about my adopted city, Seattle, become an informed voter, and continue my passion for lifelong learning. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, but during my husband's career as a medical professor and researcher, we lived and raised our 3 children in Boston, Cleveland, Philadelphia, and Chicago. In each city, I volunteered and served on boards of civic and educational organizations because I believe in contributing to my community. I love to travel and have been to all 7 continents and have had the privilege of experiencing other cultures in depth by living in London, Freiburg, Germany, and Amsterdam. I'm looking forward to the privilege of serving and enriching my new community in the Horizon House, where I have been warmly welcomed. I hope to meet many of you, to work together, and to share our life stories.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you very much. Jennifer Stucker, you're up.
Thank you. And thank you to the Residents Council for giving me this opportunity to introduce myself to the Horizon House community. I have been at Horizon House for 2.5 years, but I've known Horizon House for over 20 years. My mother was here, Elaine Stucker, for many years, and my sister and brother-in-law are here, the Kleins. So over the years, I've seen many changes, both in the appearance of Horizon House and in the activities. Been impressed always with the resident involvement and influence, and impressed with the administration and the wonderful staff. And I appreciate the many adjustments that have been made for COVID-19 and our lives. Since getting here, I've been involved in several committees: the World Concerns Committee, the Flower Committee, the Garden Committee. I do the ironing for the Monday Market. And I've enjoyed the humanist programs, belong to a dinner group, a discussion group. I've had the painting of the month a couple of times. Last year helped with the Halloween party, and have involvement in the upcoming photography art show. Also much enjoyed dance aerobics and pool aerobics when they were available to us. My career often provided me the opportunity to visit Horizon House, because as a professor of social work at Eastern Washington University, I was often tasked with teaching at our distance programs, which were all over the state. So I would come to this side of the state from Spokane and Cheney, and I would stay with my mother and or with Judy and Bob. So in that social work professorship, I taught pretty much the macro courses, which would mean the history of the profession, policy, community development, and I directed several programs for single parents who were on public assistance. My focus in my career was always on poverty and on single parent issues, also on diversity issues. I was very lucky early on in my education to do some traveling and to, over the years, to live in different parts of the world. And so that has made sort of cultural issues and diversity issues very important to me. One of the most important lessons that I felt I gave to social work students was that of listening. I think that's a critical social work skill, listening and truly hearing. So I hope I can apply that ability to the council. And I also hope to contribute to the Horizon House community in any ways that I can. I look forward to getting to know more people and to know them better. And thank you again for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. And thank all of you for your willingness to serve and what you will be bringing to the council. Assuming you're elected, we'll talk about that in a second. I shouldn't be doing any electioneering at all, but I'll say this collectively, they came in exactly on time. We allowed up to 2 minutes each, and they came in together in 10 minutes from the beginning. So thank you all. We'll turn now to Audrey Weikamp to talk about the election procedure.
The voting procedure. Some of you have already found the ballot in your mail cubby, and I also know that some of you have already voted. If you find that you don't have a ballot, please call me or email me and I'll get one to you. If you find that you have more than you should, just vote on one, please. You have until 8 p.m. Thursday evening to vote, and you should put your ballot in one of the 3 ballot boxes. Brian Holtz wanted to make sure that our ballot boxes were spread out. And so the locations, although they're all on the first floor, they're in 3 different places. There is a table by the grandfather clock. There is a box by the display case leading to the west wing, and also a ballot box by the North Tower elevators. Also, our friends in supported living have their ballot box and their ballots. There were no nominations from the floor, and therefore, instead of voting for individual people, you will just mark either accept or reject, and that refers to the slate of 5. Unless the majority of ballots are marked reject, and I can't really believe that, the ballots are really an affirmation, but our bylaws require printed ballots in case we're having a virtual meeting as we are now. I hope you'll take time to vote, and I want to, if only to thank these 5 for volunteering and agreeing to such a serious commitment of both time and energy for the next 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. I say hear, hear to that. Absolutely. Wonderful. I couldn't resist putting up that cartoon. Many of you know the work of Bob Cram, a former resident here whose work lives on through the slides we present during events like this, the resident council meeting. I'm hoping to be able to show you more of Bob's work at the Friday fireside chat at the end of the month. I have appointed, as I mentioned at the beginning, a special nominating committee. It is chaired by Susan Corning, and the other 2 members are Alice Melanie and Beth Davis. So why is there a special nominating committee? The bylaws say that after the election of the new council members, which is going on right now, the special nominating committee shall recommend to the Residence Council membership, those 15 of us who are elected and serving right now, a slate of officers for 2021. The nominating committee, the special nominating committee, according to bylaws, is composed and must be composed of members of the existing Residence Council, as opposed to the nominating committee that has just finished its work, where I've certainly made a special effort to bring people from outside the Resident Council immediate circle so that we have opportunity for new ideas coming in. the recommendations will be made and voted upon by the Residents' Council at its next meeting, which will be the planning meeting in November. Audrey, your turn to come back and talk about the recent bylaw amendments.
Do you want me to exchange with Mary Ann?
Yeah, let's, Marianne, are you ready? I think we're okay, but let's do that. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay,
If
I'll
Marianne-
wait.
Okay, thank you. Marianne, are you prepared? I know you were prepared for a little bit later. Can you do this report now? Ooh,
There we go.
thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Wonderful.
Good. It's good to have this opportunity to tell you that we are less than halfway through the drive for the 2020 Employee Recognition Fund, but more than half of the residents have already contributed. So for those of you who are new to Horizon House, let me explain. As you know, we do not tip or gift employees on an individual basis. That would be a highly unequal show of appreciation. For example, nighttime workers and others that we never encounter would not be recognized. However, at the end of each year, the Residents' Council does create a fund for you to donate to, if you please. The council absorbs any expense that's associated with the fund. And so that in that way, every cent donated is then distributed to employees early in December. That presentation used to center around the holiday party, but it will be different this year. All non-executive staff are eligible. And the number of hours worked during the past year determines the gift that each person receives. We all benefit, so the amount given is not as important as the fact that we give. Check your alert for details, but briefly, you write a check, you're invited to write a check to the Residents' Council of Horizon House, deposit it in the black box in the wall across from the copier in the mailroom. And this afternoon after the meeting, Peter, I will put up a little Bob Cram poster there, so you can look for that also.
Wonderful.
Or you can have, if you're away, you can have a check mailed to the Residents' Council at the Horizon House address. We encourage you to be part of the Employee Recognition Fund. You'll be glad that you are. If you have questions or concerns, call me. I'm in the book, Mary Ann Anderson. Thank you.
All of that is great news, Marianne. You're doing a great job. And folks, at the end of this meeting, if you're in your apartment watching on television and you haven't written your check yet, well, maybe that's time to move over to your checkbook and take care of it, so it doesn't get lost in all the other things that are happening. Okay, Audrey, let's go back to the bylaws.
I actually can't see the picture, but I assume you can see me and hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just assume that I'm on there. Thanks to my fellow bylaw committee, Beth Davis and Susan Joan, for helping me incorporate suggestions from several sources to fine tune our bylaws and policies. Amendments to both were unanimously accepted by the Resident Council at their planning meeting on October 13th. There was nothing controversial in the bylaw amendments, and most of them simply aligned the bylaws with the separation of duties policy concerning procedures for check writing from council funds that was accepted last April. The only policy that was amended was concerned the distribution of ERF, the Employee Recognition Fund gifts. The amendment states that the hours worked per week should be based on a full year's employment record, not just 9 months. The amended bylaws and policies will be on Connect within a few days. But if you are impatient to see the finished copies or the copies that showed exactly what wording was either changed or added, contact me and I'll send them to you as attachments on an email. Thank you.
I'm trying to show you folks the front page of HH Connect. It's not all there, it's covered partly by pictures, I think, on your screen, but this is the front page, and the area that is reserved at this moment for Residents Council is on the second item on the far right column under the weather. And this is where we have the operating documents, where the bylaws will be posted, updated bylaws. I think the last year's edition is there now. And also Diane Tinker talked about the financial operating statements. That's where you find them all. Okay, I now have the opportunity to introduce to you Deanna Nelson, who's chair of the brand new Technology Support Committee. Although when I say introduce to you, she's been meeting so many of you already in one of her roles on the committee. Deanna, would you report what's going on? And unmute. Unmute. Oh, Dan.
As Peter stated, it's a new committee. The committee began with a group of volunteers who volunteered to host Zoom meetings for the Residents Council and for the various committees at Horizon House when we were unable to meet in person any longer. And actually, before I joined the committee, they decided to prepare a survey which was sent to everyone, asking people if they would like help learning how to use Zoom so they could participate in all of the committee meetings and programs that were starting to be presented via Zoom. So at that point, I became involved, and we got over 100 surveys saying that people wanted help. So 4 of us went about sharing with this group and contacting almost everyone on the group. If you haven't been contacted yet, we will get to you. We're still working through the last few people, and offering them help, helping them, leaving our phone numbers, and encouraging them to use this new tool so that they can participate. The committee members also support some of the webinars that were being broadcast, such as the forum. The other thing that I'd like to point out to you is that Horizon House has Echo Dots that can be made of those of the Alexa devices that can be made available to anyone who wants them. And these devices, I want to assure everyone, are not invasive. They don't know who you are. They are connected to Horizon House as an account. So if you have one in your house, it's not spying on you, but you can use it for all sorts of things. It's kind of like an encyclopedia or a search engine. You can ask it any question you like. You can ask it to set a reminder for you and it will remind you. You can use it as a timer. You can ask it to play radio stations, give you news. And you can call, it's unlimited what you can do with it. And then you can also call all of or most of the Horizon House departments, and also get the activities that are occurring for the day. We're hoping that at some point, management will be able to put the directory, the resident directory on it so that you can use it for phone calls. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to just turn your head and say, please call so-and-so, and you've got a phone call made. And I know that a lot of you have concerns about HHTV. Our committee does as well. We are trying to encourage management to get it fixed. We hope to be involved in whatever they do, but we don't know if that will be possible. And we'd like to really find out what other new technology they have in mind for us, because we realize that we have to get into the digital age. So at this point, if any of you need help with Zoom and you didn't complete a survey, please call us and we'd be happy to help you. I guess that's about it. Thank you. Peter, you're muted.
How did I do this? See, now the head of technology and the head of the council share that in common. Failure to unmute promptly. There, feel good about that, everybody. Okay, and now George Counts, it's your turn. You want to say a few words about the annual reports that will be due from our committee chairs?
Yes, it is time for the annual reports. So we want to hear from every committee chair and every facilitator of all of our activities. And what I'd like to have in this annual report are 4 things. Any meetings since April 1st, we want to go back just to April 1st. Any meetings of the committee or activity. Any speakers or performances that you had. Thirdly, any change in committee structure or any sort of budget implications. And fourth, anything else you want to add. I want these reports to be succinct and terse. Ordinarily, they should not be longer than a page. If there is some extraordinary circumstances, they can, of course, be longer. So I'd like these annual reports from the chairs and the facilitators to get to the coordinators by November 6th. The coordinators will then review them and chase down any that they have not received and get them all to me into my mail cubby, the hard copies, by November 18th. I will then get them ready to forward to Peter for his annual report. So November 6th, reports from the committee chairs and facilities to the coordinators. The coordinators will get them to me, hard copies, by November 18th. Contact me if you have any questions or comments. Thanks.
And thank you, George, for what you're doing to keep this place going. Wonderful. And now I've certainly been waiting for this. Social events. Janet, that's another Bob Cram special. Social events from Janet Daggett. And unmute, Janet. It's a catching disease that's going around. Unmute. Hit the microphone button or just hold your space bar down while you're talking.
Okay, space bar down.
Good.
All right. Okay, this is what you've been waiting for. The social committee has really had quite a year, with the big problem being the COVID situation and the rules against close proximity parties. So there's 2 more big parties before the end of the year, 2 more annual parties. The next one is going to be the Halloween party. And that will be reduced to, well, I won't say it's reduced, it's just simply another format. Hopefully there's going to be an afternoon of horror movies. The decoration and garden committee, not the garden committee, but the flower arranging committee is going to put all sorts of seasonal holiday decorations around. And of course, we've all noticed what, what's his name has done in the, who am I thinking of?
Oliver.
Oliver, thank you. What Oliver has done in his big, he just jumped right in and did it, and it's wonderful. So much for the Halloween celebration. Now, the big annual party has always been the employee Christmas party for the employees. And unfortunately, this year's is going to be a bit of a shadow of its former self because the families cannot come here and enjoy games and Santa Claus and balloons and whatnot. But Judy Ostrom has done a wonderful job of when the checks are being passed out, which is probably one of the major features of that party. It'll be accompanied with everything like a drum roll and music and balloons and gifts, and so that every employee is going to feel special. One pop-up party is going to follow that, which is a book review on a brand new book called Facing Death. And don't be misled by, don't be turned off by the name. It's written by a local doctor who will be interviewed on either Zoom or on TV. It'll be in mid-November, but he's got a lot of wonderful information on current drugs, medications, I mean, on the new laws. And I think it's one of those programs that everyone here is going to want to watch. So it'll be announced in the alert and in the elevators. And that is my report for the moment.
Excellent, excellent. Good work by you and your committee folks. Thank you. Okay, Audrey, you're back now for the trifecta.
Okay, well, a lot of people stole my thunder, let me tell you, because my question was Oliver responsible for the incredible Halloween display?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
But I can add something to it because I went down and talked to people. We're really lucky, aren't we? We have such a creative staff here, and they're really going way out to make sure that we don't feel like we're too closed in. They're in the dining room display. Yes, Oliver was the chief designer and he put a lot of little touches in. But there were a lot of people in the dining staff who helped. They brought some of their own ornaments. The fellow I was talking to had bought one of the pumpkins and brought it in. And so it really is a group effort, and they're trying to make it as fun as possible. I had some questions. For instance, where did all those blue shirt sleeves come from on those pumpkins that are the see no, hear no evil? It turned out that they're old shirts that were staff uniforms. Somehow they were kept, and that's what those blue sleeves are. And I also asked, where did that beautiful orange background, that big background, come from? Well, it was normally used as a backdrop for a buffet table for catered events. You do remember catered events, don't you? It was in the old normal. Well, it has a new use now. That the staff is already tossing around ideas for the Thanksgiving display and for the Christmas display. And my second part is, by all means, when you go into the mailroom to pick up your mail, look up at the ceiling. Hanging are incredible number of masks that were cleverly designed and fabricated by Jill Hudson, Resident Services and Care Associate. Thank you.
Thank you. That's delightful. That's delightful. Well, all good things have to come to an end, and we actually came in under 2 minutes from 3 o'clock. So that's everybody's to be congratulated on that. I'm going to close before I actually bang the gavel, which is in the other room, so I can't bang it. I'm going to add 3 words. heroes work here. And then I had 3 more go write checks. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you. And this meeting is adjourned.